Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 saw the United States military seize a Venezuelan oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean Sea. This was, one of the most drastic forms of escalation we've seen between the two countries ever, at least in recent history. The United States has been quite aggressive to Venezuela in the past couple months, and its president, Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of fueling drug trafficking and driving mass migration to the United States. The Trump administration has been drone striking fishermen or people on boats in the Caribbean Sea, claiming that they're drug boats smuggling drugs to the United States. Many believe that these people are just fishermen, just making an honest living in the sea, which really makes things just that much worse. The Venezuelan government has claimed that this is all to do with toppling Maduro's government. Venezuelan citizens, American citizens, citizens of South and Central America are all pretty concerned about this. The overwhelming majority want peace, they don't want war, whether you're a supporter of Maduro or not. So I decided to go to a No War with Venezuela rally in Washington, D.C., in front of the White House, to speak to Americans and asking them, why is the United States being so aggressive to Venezuela? Whether they're doing this for oil, they are actually worried about drugs coming into the country, do they want regime change? Or is it about China's ever-growing presence in South America, potentially fueling another Cold War? Let's get into the interviews. Who am I here with?
Hi, my name is Mariana.
Iron Bolt Bruce.
Hi, you're here with Riel.
Sophie.
This is Modesto King.
Iron Belt Bruce. What brings you here today?
I've been protesting here in D.C. since right after Trump got reelected.
I'm very concerned about the U.S. wanting to have a lot of intervention in Venezuela. We've already been bombing boats in the Caribbean. We want to. Trump is saying he wants to do land attacks. I think this is ridiculous. The U.S. going onto more land, killing more people. The only thing that's going to happen is going to be a pointless war with hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans dead. It's just ridiculous.
I've been around when it comes to Venezuela. Well, let me say, when it comes to Latin America in general, I'm always against imperialistic intervention in other countries' affairs, should I put it this way.
I'm here on behalf of PACA, Pan-African Community Action, and BAT, Black Alliance for Peace. We're here to protest against what's going on in Venezuela.
I feel like it's really important that we all show up for the various liberation movements that are ongoing right now, and I particularly think it would be disastrous if the U.S. were to invade Venezuela. I think we've already engaged in a variety of illegal actions, and I think it would be a disaster if we did.
And why do you think the United States wants to invade Venezuela?
I think the United States has a long history of imperialism and intervention in Latin America that has permanently, significantly changed the way that Latin America functions. It's a direct cause of why we, have so many challenges with migration and legal immigration, and we have directly created the causes of why people are migrating. And I think that we have a really long history of intervening because of our own U.S. interests, and I think that in the case of Venezuela, it's obvious that they are going to install a dictator who is going to open up the oil reserves, and that's blatantly obvious, and we've been through this before. And I think that anybody who's choosing not to see that as obvious is intentionally choosing to disregard the evidence.
Personally, I think that we're in the midst of another Cold War. The U.S. does not need oil. I do not think that we're going into Venezuela because of oil. I personally think it's because of Venezuela's push and South America's push towards China and Russia. I think this is another Cold War. I think that for a long, long time, America has been treating South America terribly. And so South America, especially with Venezuela and Cuba, they've been, because of our embargoes, where have they been pushed to survive? To go to Russia and China. And so because Venezuela and Cuba have been able to survive, even with all these embargoes from China and Russia's help and all of these things, I think that Marco Rubio thinks that the rest of South America is going to be pushed towards China and Russia as well. They see that Venezuela and and Cuba are able to survive without under the intense boot of the U.S. And he's afraid that the rest of South America is going to realize, wait a second, maybe we can do this without the U.S. And then and then they're going to go to China and Russia. I think this is a new Cold War.
Well, if you look historically, I hate to admit it, but anytime a U.S. presidency gets in trouble domestically, one of the first things they do is try to start trouble overseas and then use that as an excuse to get everybody behind them again. It's a political move, benefits the president, doesn't benefit the country.
This is all part of the U.S. Trying to get oil, trying to quell political advancement, economic advancement for Venezuela. And so now is a time to attack and call out the war that's going on. A war is not about to begin, it's already ongoing and being waged against the people.
And what type of, reverberations would we see both here in the United States, but also in South and Central America if the United States was to, per se, do a ground invasion or do a direct strike on Venezuela?
First, on the people of Venezuela, all the people in support of Venezuela, it attacks economic systems, it violates human rights. We're going to see it against our political landscape also in the U.S. We're going to see it also, we see it in ICE immigrations, people being attacked for targeted countries. So Venezuelans or any other South American immigrants are going to be attacked in this war.
Personally, I think we're going to go in and nothing is going to get done. And the reason is, have you seen, Venezuela is beautiful, but it's practically, you can't, it's intraversible. It's just like going to be going into Iraq, going into Afghanistan. We're going to be going in there. So many of U.S. men and women are going to die, and so many more Venezuelan men and women and children are going to die, and nothing is going to get done. Whether or not anyone thinks, going in there, we're going in there for a good reason or not, nothing is going to get done because we do not know the land. We do not know the terrain. We do not know what's going on. And it's just ridiculous. What is the goal of going in and bombing just the people? If you dislike the government, why are you going to hurt the people? And especially, I think it's absolutely ridiculous because Venezuela is a transit point for drugs. Drugs are not made in Venezuela. So why are we're claiming that drugs are being made in Venezuela, and this is why it's narco-terrorism and all these things, and yet, so we're punishing the people for things that aren't even happening, for drugs they aren't even making. I just think it's ridiculous.
Well, look at what happened to the country in the Vietnam War. Look at what happens when we get into any unwinnable war. Okay, the innocent people die, young men die because of decisions that old men make.
People would say, a U.S. invasion into Venezuela would liberate the country. Do you agree with that? What do you think would more happen?
I don't agree with that at all, and I don't think many Venezuelans do either. I think that, apart from the ruling class, I think that the general consensus is that it would destabilize the country, it would put oil reserves in the hands of the wealthiest few, and it would continue to perpetuate inequality in that country at the bare minimum, not to mention perpetuate violence and everything else.
Okay. Definitely. It's kind of just to stabilize the region.
Yeah. For
Okay.
Sure.
Well,
yeah, I definitely think it'll be a domino effect.
And what do you say to people that will say, the United States invading Venezuela will liberate the people there? What is your response to that?
United States gonna liberate them?
Yeah.
Well, let me say, Venezuela has industry at this point, I believe. What is that? 5 million people. They don't have their weapon in the hand yet, but the weapons are there. Mm-hmm. So that means Venezuela are there to defend their country. The drug issue that they, laying out in order to use that as an excuse why they need to intervene, that thing doesn't work. Because there are so many countries around Venezuela that are drug trafficker, drug thing. So maybe there is some drug in Venezuela, but there are other ones who really bring in drug into the United States. And the United States knows it. Yeah. And they put a blind eye into that thing because, to begin with, personally, I believe this is not a Latin American business. It's a United States business. And they get angry when governments around Venezuela, confiscate tons of drugs and destroy them. They get angry because their business is getting dismantled way before the drugs come into the United States. So.
I say that the people of Venezuela do not want the U.S. to interfere. They have seen what the U.S. and its interference has done to the rest of the world, what it's done to Libya, what it's done to Afghanistan, what it's done to Iraq, what it's done to so many places, what's done to Cuba, Puerto Rico. The Venezuelans, whether or not, no matter how terrible they are doing right now and how much suffering Maduro is inflicting on them, they know that the U.S. going in is not going to fix their problems. It is not going to fix it.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that, but
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.